Welcome back.
Hello, KJ and Swiley here again. Another little topic to discuss today. It's Billboard Chris. There's been loads of articles and interviews and things going on this week about Billboard Chris and what happened in Brisbane on the 25th of the month. Given that he was given a citation for an obstruction, we thought we would have obstruction as our word of the day. Let's see what this word means and whether or not Chris is actually committing any crime by his actions there. So, our definition of obstruction is a thing that impedes or prevents passage or progress, an obstacle or blockage. So far seems pretty above board from the video, but anyway. We also have the action of unlawfully obstructing a player, like in sports, or in a law reference, but looking at the action of impeding the movement of traffic on a highway. Still seems like there wasn't much of an obstruction happening there. And I did have a little look at what the Urban Dictionary thinks about obstruction, and there were a few in there, as there always are. I found this one that I quite liked. It's called an obstructive comedy apnea. Have you heard of this term before, Swiley?
Never.
No, nor had I. Obstructive comedy apnea is a cessation of breathing for at least 10 seconds due to the hilarity of a joke, character, or situation. Obstructive comedy apnea.
Obstructing the laughter.
No, it's obstructing your breathing because the laughter has made you stop. But according to this, it needs to be 10 seconds due to the hilarity of a joke, character, or situation.
Does someone sit there and time it? Is there a comedy apnea clinic?
Look, there's probably an adjudicator to determine if it is genuine, medically confirmed apnea from comedy. Yes, so those are our obstruction definitions. Let's have a little think about what was happening with Chris. So you've watched the video footage.
I've seen the video, yeah.
Yeah.
He's quite humble in the way that he does his approach, and I didn't seem to think that he was obstructing anyone standing there silently with a billboard attached to him.
It wasn't particularly, only he's one person and a tripod. That's not taking up a lot of space. It was a large area also.
And people were coming to him.
Yeah, which is when you watch all the videos of other things that he's done like this, that's what he does. He stands quietly and allows the conversation to come to him to try and have these discussions with people. The sign that he was wearing, like Billboard Chris, if you don't know, look him up. He stands in public spaces wearing a billboard, like what do we call them, the sandwich board signs. So we've got signage on the front of him and signage on the back. On the front of the sign, it says children cannot consent to puberty blockers. And on the back of the sign, it reads, it's got the word dad and a definition of what he determines that dad is, which is a human man who protects his kids from gender ideology. Right, so the council worker approaches him, says, "Come on, mate, you've bothered somebody." And Chris says, "How have I bothered somebody?" And a bit of back and forth thing there. In the end, the council worker fines him $806 for the prohibited act of obstructing or unreasonably disturbing any person lawfully using the mall. Did you see any obstructing happening there?
Even that statement in itself is a bit ambiguous, isn't it?
Yes.
Could do or may or is seen to. Who makes the decision that is what it is?
Look, that's
But
very
no, he was not
confusing as
obstructing
to
anyone. He was standing there quietly in the corner, and only people were approaching him. And the people that usually approach him are those that very radically of the opposite thought pattern, and they're the ones that will come in and assault him.
Well, that's what makes you think that it's not actually at all to do with an obstruction, but you've just leaned into the other half of it on the prohibited act that they read to him, which was obstruction or obstructing or unreasonably disturbing. So I think that's actually what they've kind of gone more to, is that, you have unreasonably disturbed somebody because your sign has caused them offence, and you're not allowed to have free speech.
I think
So we're going to fine you.
I think it's very disgusting. I mean, we're living in a place now where the people get a sense of power and they decide, well, this is what we're going to do. And the obstruction that's happening there is his free speech. That was definitely been obstructed.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, he's not doing anything wrong. He's standing there with a sign. Whether you agree or disagree with what his thoughts are on that, that's up to you. You can have your thoughts and he can have his, but it's opening up a conversation. And I think these are very important conversations to be had.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. When he was given the fine, Chris did say, like, I'm not going to pay it, I will appeal it. And you could actually hear several people around him that they're watching. You know, there's a council worker there, there's many police officers, I think 9 police officers are there. And some of the people nearby are saying, you can hear them say, we support you, Chris, and several of them are clapping, and they didn't seem to be at all bothered or to be feeling as though they had been obstructed by his presence there.
I mean, I watched a news report and he said that 90% of the people that he speaks to support him. It's very...
So they appreciate that he's...
Yeah, they appreciate the message he's delivering and the message he's trying to get across.
Because, look, it's not an easy thing to do, I suppose, with a topic that is, going to stir up some feelings, but definitely it's important, a conversation that's important to be had, but also just it's important that we can have free speech. He didn't do anything wrong. There was no obstruction. I hardly think that he was unreasonably disturbing any person. Just because you disagree with something that's written on the sign doesn't mean that you can cry, oh, wow, poor me, I don't want to have to look at that sign. Why don't you just walk away from the sign?
You don't have to go and approach him. And those that do approach him have opened up the conversation, and he's always very humble. From what I've seen, very humble in the way that he approaches these situations.
Yeah. He's actually in Australia at the moment because he is going to court against the E-Safety Commissioner for the free speech laws.
How ironic.
Where they had one of his posts on X, she wanted it taken off and carried on about it, and eventually it was put back on X, but then the E-Safety Commissioner blocked it from being able to be viewed by Australian users.
$700 and something thousand dollars for the post.
It's absolutely mental, isn't
it?
It
is just bullying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is bullying, and there's no free speech there at all. It's like you can have free speech as long as your speech is agreeing with what we have to say. Otherwise, we're going to classify your actions as obstruction, or what's that other term? Unreasonably disturbing.
Well, in that video as well, I mean, he stood up for his rights and his rights to free speech. I mean, he's sending a message, and it's a message that should be freely said, and he's a backer of free speech. And at that point in time, he was approached and told in a very tyrannical sort of situation, well, no, you can't have that thought here.
Yeah.
Take your thoughts elsewhere.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm going to stand up for my rights of free speech. I've done nothing wrong. This man said that I did this. And I don't think he had the backbone in that either. I don't think he was just backing it. He probably got that message from further on behind, or from someone else that had a problem with it.
Somebody else directed him to do it, and he felt pressed to.
This is my personal opinion, and I'm entitled to have my own personal opinions.
Are you sure?
But yeah.
The thought police are out.
When you're looking at the way he's approaching, he's saying statements like, I've never had to do this to anyone else before.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I've ever done this. So
he did say that, yeah.
It comes across his heart wasn't really in it.
But he's just doing his job.
He's just doing what he's been told to do.
Got to pay the bills.
And, yeah.
But you hope that that's the case, and that you're not enjoying picking on somebody or giving a directive which just does not seem correct. There was no obstruction, clearly no obstruction.
And,
this
even
man has to give
the police, they forcefully removed him.
Yeah.
Using force to remove him, stripped him of his sign and escorted him away.
Yeah.
And when they did that, he was set free without charge. Mm. I mean, that says a lot for itself anyway, doesn't it? It's like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and
we'll
we don't want to
move
get
you
into that
because
mentality
we've already
where
made a show here
Yeah.
and we've made a bit of a production, so we have to be seen
I
doing
think
something.
they just had to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking into bylaws and things like that, and when they're written, they're not necessarily always legal bylaws. They are legally enforceable, but with bylaws, all you have to do is, send in the bylaw, what you've written it as, or what you've copied it from another bylaw,
Yeah.
register it, make sure it's appropriately signed, and
then it becomes a bylaw.
And then it becomes
It's
a
that
bylaw.
simple.
Nothing's checked over it. So you have to do your due diligence as well. Always check whether the laws that have been given to you are lawful and don't go against the Constitution, don't
Yeah.
get against free speech. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that one would constitutionally go
Against
against
it.
free speech. And the Constitution's there to protect its citizens from the government and other
Entities that
might try and
manipulate things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just thinking about that second half of the prohibited act that the council worker read out to him, obstructing or unreasonably disturbing any person lawfully using the mall. I can't see how what Billboard Chris was doing was any less lawful than what any of the other people were doing walking about that day. It's quite embarrassing, really.
It is. It's disgusting.
It's just gone
But you mean,
absolutely
you look,
mental,
and
1984 style, double thinking and...
Without naming all of them, there have been plenty of sit-downs in the middle of the wall marches through the wall, protesting and stuff
genuinely
like that.
causing an obstruction.
And it is, as in Australia, people have the right to free protest.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very quiet one-man protest that he was having on his own.
Yeah.
So...
And he's not standing at a lectern on a stage with a megaphone carrying on and like audio slamming someone so you must hear what the lesson is. It's just a sign. It's like it's a really
or
peaceful
violent marching or...
I quite like it as a method of protesting something or trying to get your point out. It's a nice way to go about it. But sorry about that, Billboard Chris. It wasn't a very nice welcome for you in Brizzy there. Good luck with your law case there with the E-Safety Commissioner or fighting for free speech. I love it. Just on the topic of what was on Chris's sign there, I highly recommend reading a book called Irreversible Damage. It's a 2020 book. It's written by Abigail Schreier. I hope I'm pronouncing her surname correctly. It deep dives into the controversial concept of the rapid onset of gender dysphoria in the Western world. It's really factual and perspectives from all sides. So give that a look if you're curious about where you can find some good information on that topic. And that's all we'll say about that particular topic
you could do
today.
a whole episode just on that, couldn't we?
Yes, indeed. And now, because that is so hectic and gets you all rolled up, let's relax with vintage culture appreciation down memory lane.
Okay, what memory lane are we going down?
We're memory laning to being a young person and having a lovely cul-de-sac to go and play
Well, that's
in.
not a lane. Oh, sometimes cul-de-sacs have lanes that lead in. Oh, yes.
Memory lane, a memory cul-de-sac.
A memory cul-de-sac.
Yes.
Cul-de-sacs, there's not so many of them now.
No.
Though. You don't see them in the new estates or anything like that. They're just cookie cutters, basically.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably to do with that sort of planning and infrastructure of it being like, how many houses can we fit in here? They don't allocate that additional space. But we had some awesome ones when I was a kid, and they were quite big, where there'd be maybe a dozen houses that are in the loop part of the cul-de-sac, plus all the houses that lead up to the cul-de-sac. All of those children are going to come out and play in the cul-de-sac
Sort of
too.
a neighbours vibe, like the cul-de-sac parties they used to have on
Oh,
Neighbours.
Ramsey Street cul-de-sac. That one's hectic.
Remember that one?
Yes. Probably not the type of cul-de-sac I was growing up on. But yeah, they were really cool. All the kids just sort of congregate there, parents doing their gardens and things, and all the parents can just, trust one another to keep an eye on Johnny while he's out in the street. And let's say Johnny does something wrong and you need to correct them. You don't have parents freaking out that you've just told their kid to, maybe not climb on the roof and jump onto the trampoline from there, or or jump into the pool off the roof, or jump into the pool off the trampoline, whatever. Yes, some of these are genuine examples from my own childhood, I'm sure.
A lot of people just, they're too afraid to do that now. And,
Yeah.
And gone are the days where you just go out the front and say hello and be kind to your neighbour.
Yeah.
Love
But
thy
they were
neighbour.
awesome. That you'd have your chalk drawings out there. You've got your bikes and your rollerblades are happening. And
Set up little jumps in the middle of the cul-de-sac.
Yes.
No one's going to come down the street and complain they can't get in their driveway because the kids are playing in the
No,
cul-de-sac.
not at all. The feeling of seeing all the kids playing in the street was something that would be appreciated, not eye rolling and that's so annoying, move your stuff. No, it's like it's an awesome thing that they're all playing together and that you have that community within your street. It's fantastic.
Drag the barbecue out the front.
Yeah. Street barbecue parties. Absolutely. Love it. If you've got any memories on your cul-de-sac hangs when you were a youngin', or thoughts and feelings about how that has changed today, drop us a message. Give us a little comment and tell us what you can remember about that time.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it was awesome, and we don't have one now. You can still play basketball out the front and stuff, but even the street itself now is so much thinner than what a opposite house spacing would have been
previously. And I
previously.
think the times have changed, like I was saying before, that people aren't that approachable anymore, and they've sort of
there's not really a desire to have those spaces.
To have those sort of spaces, and people
Maybe.
have become more private.
Or maybe that's because we've kind of just been forced in that direction. Like, you take the cul-de-sacs away, then the vibe changes as well. The culture has shifted because they've I don't know. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
How many people come racing down the street, and everyone's always in so much of a hurry nowadays.
Yep.
They just stop, slow down, look at the world and appreciate it. Breathe.
Just relax. Yes, indeed.
Be still. Gee, I'm throwing out all the little ones. Little tiny little pokes in there.
Oh, dear. All right. Well, that was fun. We are going to leave you with that.
Sign off here, and maybe we'll do something more into that book that you were talking about another time later on. We'll maybe leave that to a little bit later.
Have to think
It's
about
getting a bit
that.
heavy.
Yeah. All right. Fun as always. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time. Until then, God bless and peace out.
This content is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. We are not thought police, council workers, pastors or politicians. You are not more likely to suck less or try harder having listened to these shenanigans.